Hey there, it's Fight here with a quick overview of what's in Cold Email Academy. Before we dive in, I think the name Cold Email is probably not the ideal choice. Really what this is B2B outreach. That's what this whole thing is about. And it's doing it in such a way that you stand out in a very positive way. And the reason it's easy to stand out is because almost everybody gets this wrong. I mean, you look at your inbox, if you're in business, you will have seen all these, hey, I can get you to number one, or, I can get you more leads and kind of thing. And that is annoying. And this course is about doing the exact opposite, being personable, being likable, and building a connection very quickly, and doing it in such a way that people are genuinely interested in your thing and they're not offended by having sort of a cookie cutter type thing sent to them. Anyway, what the purpose of this video is just to show you what's in it so you can see for yourself if this is likely to be a good fit. What we've got here is kind of a summary of documents. So it's basically the cliff notes, there's the master workbook with worksheets, etc. All this kind of thing. So it's basically the resources in the beginning. And then there's an initial section which is the bootcamp, which is basically a high-level look at why email works, why direct approaching works, what to do, what not to do, that kind of thing. With a couple of case studies, who uses it, who doesn't use it. The mentality, very, very important. A lot of people will be afraid of doing cold email. To them, it's a bit like cold calling. And as a result, you don't do it. And in there, he shows you why that is limiting your progress or growth very severely. Because there's absolutely no way or no need to be afraid of doing cold email if you do it right. And that's what this whole thing here is about. So then a bit more detail on best practices in terms of this is really whom you're targeting. There are many different aspects to it. One of them he covers, for example, that there are different stages you go through when you do this, and also when you're targeting people, that there are some who are extremely likely to respond and others who are not likely to respond. That in itself was an extreme eye-opener for me, that even the same one type of customer, you can't treat them, you can't use a one-size-fits-all approach for all of them. So, just best practicing. And he kind of says in the beginning, the stuff you think is obvious and you tend to gloss over. It's different when you use cold email. So the mentality when using cold email is very, very different from doing almost anything else, whether you're doing webinars or you're doing Facebook ads or whatever. It's a very different fundamental approach, and that's basically covered in this section here. Then he has two sections. One is the DIY prospecting like a boss. That was the title of my email, which is all the focus here is on DIY. He goes through how you do it, why you want Mike to do it, and there is a very strong reason why you, at least in the beginning, want to do it yourself. All explained in here. And then all the tool he uses, they're explained over here. And then the second module is basically the flip side, where you don't do it, where you use someone else's data and you basically purchase leads. So it's basically list buying. And he goes into the pros and cons of both of them, compares them, and shows you both how to do them or how to do them yourself properly. Then, of course, the core piece, if you like, which is writing irresistible emails. And you see, just by the number of little sub-modules, this is a very in-depth module, which is quite surprising because the actual emails that come out of it look very, very simple. And that's precisely what you're after. You want to have something that is, to the point, immediately grabs people's attention, builds a connection, introduces people to the problem you are solving and why they might want to solve it, and of course the solution, which is your thing. So there are little things like punctuation. I don't know if which one it is. Here, punctuation. I thought, why would I care about punctuation? And it's amazing. You look at this and go, dang, that is really, really good stuff. I never thought about it that way. So you basically get a whole bunch of videos, and as you can see, they're short and to the point. 1 minute, 1 minute, 3:45, 3:14, 6:08. They're short videos where he covers the different aspects of emails. And in here, where was it? Here, soft touch formula is two different types of emails he goes through. Then, this is kind of one of the core pieces here. absolutely wonderful. The examples are given. You look at them, you go, oh, that's obvious, that's awesome. But when you then look at all the reasons behind it, why those sentences were constructed the way they were constructed, absolutely beautiful. One little note, as you can see, some of the stuff here is ticked yes and others isn't. I made the mistake of, when the video was done playing, I'd just click on the next video here, and what I didn't realize, it then doesn't register as you've done it. So once you've watched a video, you have to click on this complete and continue button, then it does you're ready. All right, then of course, once you've built an initial contact and people reach out to you and say, yes, I'm interested, or they sign up to your webinar, or they check out your free trial to your SaaS service, or whatever it is, then you need to follow up. And that's what is covered here. How to create follow-up sequences that convert, how to do follow email that is not annoying, etc., etc., how often to send, and so on, using humor. I mean, you kind of saw that in my email, or the response in the email I sent out to Darcy. I always use humor, and great little details here. And of course, then once you have started building this up, you need to scale it out. And at some point, you get to the point where you can't do it manually anymore. Again, something I mentioned in my email. And then that is what this whole thing is about. How to use automation to build this whole thing out, and how to measure whether what you're doing is useful, is working or not. So there you go. That's in a 6-minute nutshell what's in Cold Email Academy. Highly recommended. I mean, absolutely highly recommended to anyone who's a coach or consultant. If you have an opportunity, in this case, I would even go for the opportunities like the MLM. Anyone who wants to build a downline, very, very useful there. If you drive traffic to a webinar where you sell a high-ticket item, again, very useful. If you have a SaaS service, well worth checking out, and I will recommend this to a couple of friends of mine who have, or whose main focus is SaaS. That is kind of the target audience. These are the people who can truly benefit from using the Cold Email Academy, even though a better name probably would have been Business to Business or B2B Outreach Academy or something along those lines. Hey, I'm going to go and check that out. B2BOutreach.academy. Alrighty, cheers, bye.